All right, Fred, this is this is quite interesting to hear this op-ed from you because you've worked side by side with John Bolton for decades now. First of all, tell us, you're calling on him to withdraw this book, not to publish it. Why is that?
Well, Liz, we want presidents, this president, every president, to surround him or herself with the most qualified aides, to knock ideas around, to put out things hypothetically, and to confide in them and to know that those consultations are private. They're not going to be published in books or in newspapers. And, you know, Secretary of Defense Robert Gates, he resigned in 2011, but he didn't publish his memoirs until 2014 because he didn't want the internal knowledge he had of the Obama administration or of President Obama or of Joe Biden's incredible incompetence to affect the outcome of the 2012 election. So my view is, my advice to Ambassador Bolton is hold off on this book until after the 2020 election. I think it protects the principle of presidents consulting with their advisors, and it will immunize Bolton from any accusations of trying to tip the 2020 election.
All right, Fred, you've been very close with John Bolton for the past 2 decades. I assume he's seen your op-ed. I assume you've had some personal communication with him or his staff since the publication of this. Has he responded to you in any way, given your charge on him to withdraw his book?
Yeah, Liz, I'm not going to get into that.
All right. Well, maybe give us some insight, if you could. Well, you make it hard on me, Fred, but I understand. Give us some insight, if you could, into the motivation here. And I understand that this is speculative in a way, but there is this idea among people who formerly supported John Bolton. This is a faction of the conservative movement of the Republican Party who wonder what his motivation for doing this is and if it's profiteering off of the Democrats' impeachment attacks. Because it seems almost a binary option. Either John Bolton is, dropping this information to try to sell his books, or he's betraying his service as a public servant by not talking to the press openly about information if he believes this information is not covered by executive privilege. Any insight into the motivation for why Bolton is publishing now?
Look, John Bolton's an honorable man. He's a wealthy man. I don't think he's doing the book for the money. I think he has a message that he thinks is important to get to the American people. I'm just saying that message shouldn't get out until after the election. But let's keep in mind the leak of this book, we don't know where this came from. NBC News said yesterday that multiple paper copies of the book manuscript were circulating around the National Security Council. It worries me. First of all, I think Bolton's team made a mistake sending such a politically sensitive document to the leak-prone National Security Council in the middle of the impeachment process. So I think Bolton and his team bear some responsibility for the leak. But I think the leak came from the NSC. The president needs to find out where that happened. And if it did happen at the NSC, heads should roll.